17 former captains of the Matildas, along with more than 100 other players of the Australian women's football team, say they have been left feeling disrespected and bruised by the actions of Football Australia and its chair, Anta Isaac. Now, this latest development comes about because, controversially, Football Australia is going ahead with the capping of a team of players from 1975 at an upcoming Matildas match in Sydney on April 4. This is despite Football Australia's own independent review into selection criteria not yet being completed. I've spoken with Dr Shona Bass, Matilda number 2 and spokesperson for the Matildas Alumni Advocacy Group.
When we discovered the news, to be honest, we were really shocked. And we had an agreement with the FA chair in the proposal for the independent review was that there would be a stay on all proceedings related to that decision until the independent review was tabled and considered. And as you would expect, that was just proper process. You'd expect goodwill, good faith, proper process, that there would be a stay. So we're very disappointed and, quite frankly, shocked.
Yeah, I was going to ask, does it feel a little bit like a second round of being hit with a low blow? In that, in the first instance, you were surprised by the news that there was another team that was going to be recognised as the first Matildas, not yourselves, and now this, when you expected at least until after the review had been finalised that no further action would be taken.
We've certainly been bruised by the actions of FA and the FA chair through no consultation, no transparency, no due diligence in the criteria decision in 2024. So put it this way, on their prior form, we weren't surprised, but it's still incredibly disappointing.
What was the review set up to do?
The review, and actually I'd like to sort of read it if I could.
Yep.
It was resolved to establish an independent review panel to review the criteria, policy and procedure for recognition of the Australian women's national football team, which has been agreed to by the Football Australian Board. So it's looking at all aspects of selection criteria and in particular the process and policy and procedure that's happened with this recent 2024 decision.
Was there any thinking that perhaps the review would find in a way that FA would consider reversing their recognition of this team? I mean, is that an option, or were they just going to go ahead anyway? Do they have to even take note of the findings from this review?
So this is not a new issue. Two previous administrations have reviewed this team's application, and on both cases, they've found out, come down comprehensively that it's a club team, not a national team. So this decision going forward in 2024 goes against previous board decisions, and it really leaves us in a situation, the fact that they've bulldozed through despite the independent review, one would think that they may not even pay any notice of the review finding one way or another.
And so for people who aren't aware, can you explain how the review came about?
Yeah, thank you. So in the last 12 months, the chair of Football Australia came down with a decision of what he deemed to be the first Matildas. Now, our group, who represent the majority of Matildas and majority of Matilda captains, disputed the authenticity of this decision. And as a result, our group and FA's Women's Football Council put a proposal to the chair for an independent review so that it would get it out, so that let's have a look at the evidence, let's be fair, let's be transparent, and let's just go through the process. Independent, the independent review panel, really eminent people looking at this data. And so we've compiled evidence on what we think was major failings in the process. and given it to the independent review, and we were waiting and respecting the integrity of that review to progress to its end.
Yeah, so I guess the question now becomes if FA decides, once the review's findings come out, that whichever way it goes, they're going to go ahead with recognition of this 75 team. Does that mean those women are then actually able or, qualified to become part of your group, the Matildas Alumni Group?
In the last administration review, this particular group were offered pioneer status. You know, they were a great team. They were a great club team, and I've played with some of them and against some of them. And yeah, their place in history as pioneers is fantastic. And they were also invited to join the alumni family, but the group rejected that offer.
And have you spoken to any of the 75ers themselves?
I've reached out to a few of them, and because it's an FA issue, and because we don't want to cause any division between the alumni. We're keeping reached out early, and then decided just to sort of keep things at a low ebb, and we'll work through FA.
So I guess the question then becomes, how does this make your members feel, the Matildas alumni? And you talk about the extensive group, it's over 100, well over 100, as well as 17 captains, former captains of the Matildas team. How does that leave you feeling with regard to the level of respect that FA has for you?
Well, we're feeling that there has been very, very little respect shown to our group. Even the case that we haven't had a voice, they haven't listened to us, they haven't replied. I'm still waiting on a reply from the chair that I sent on the 24th of February this year. The fact that they're proceeding with the capping despite the ongoing review, disrespectful to us, disrespectful to the 75ers, disrespectful to the Women's Football Council, and disrespectful to every member on the review panel. So we're feeling pretty gutted right now in terms of our national governing body being so respectful to, icons of the game.
Mm. What about the PFA, Professional Footballers Australia, which is the player union or the player association involved? Have they been active here or supported you in any way?
We've had conversations with the PFA, and I know the 75 team have also had conversations. We're having ongoing conversations with the PFA, and it's a very tricky situation that the FA chair has put everyone in.
So, Shona, why are you speaking to me today? What do you hope will come from putting this into the public sphere?
I'm putting it into, there's a couple of reasons why I'm putting it into the public sphere. The first thing is that we want respect and integrity for the independent review, that there just needs to be a stay on any action until that review is completed. But the bigger issue is we want to ensure moving forward that no single FA chair can ever decide who is and isn't a Matilda without transparency, without consultation, and without due diligence.
So you think this is a rewriting of history, so to speak?
It is a total, it's all about the history of Australian women's football, and we need to get it right, and it needs to be evidence-based. In this last criteria, FA's own historians weren't consulted, their own statisticians weren't consulted, and no key stakeholders were consulted. So how can that be evidence-based, peer-reviewed criteria?
And just to confirm, yep, sorry, go ahead.
And that's the bigger issue moving forward. How can a chair unilaterally decide who is a Matilda? I mean, it's a huge honour to be a Matilda and a Socceroo, and that selection criteria requires rigour and really high level rigour so that the honour everyone achieves by representing their country is fulfilled honestly.
So let's just recap on today. All you're asking for at the moment is a stay on presenting the caps to the 75 women, at least until the review has completed its process and the findings have been delivered. And also just to confirm that you have reached out to the chair and to Isaac and you've not had any response from him.
That's correct. All we're asking for is respect from the FA board by putting a stay on any actions on the 2024 criteria until the review is completed and considered. And that I also note that I've written to the FA chair and have only received an out-of-office return email.
Dr Shona Bass, thank you very much for your time. Matilda number 2, I should say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Tracy. It's been an absolute delight. Thank you.